Hello everyone, this is Sketcher Pete, or Gladiator 8, depending on whether or not you've seen me in games. This channel will be devoted mostly to drawing applications and creative artworks. I may end up having a second channel later on involving gaming and the other side of my life there, but until then, we're starting off with a bang. I am a part of what is known as March of Robots 2020. So there's a large one there. So let's get started. Forgive me if I lack material to talk about. It's late at night. I don't normally record. I have 5 siblings in the house. Oh boy. So I guess the best thing to start out with would be a pencil. Like there. Alright, so first prompt for today is something called chunky. So what do I think of when I think of chunky? I forgot it's not Photoshop, so the software I am currently using is Clip Studio Paint Pro. Costs around $50, not including tax. It is a Photoshop-esque software that digital manga artists use. At least generally digital manga artists use. Gotta warn you, I am not the best artist in the world. I'll have lots of room for improvement, and, well, you guys down in the comments could help teach me a few things if necessary. If you feel like it. When I think of chunky, I generally think of large. And chunky generally means there aren't too many segments. So this chunky robot here, I'm thinking either battle robot or excavation robot or something along those lines. I suppose one of the things that I lack is having a script. And first videos tend to be really tough. You do all this preparation for a video, and the next thing you know, you choke up in the first 3 seconds. It'll take me a while to build my confidence here. And I do want to make a career out of this, so I will be uploading regularly. Especially as this goes on all month for March of Robots, as it is implied. March of Robots, meaning the entire month of March. You know what, let's make him lift a large object. Probably a boulder. And to make a career out of this, I'm really going to need you guys, for those who stumble across this video and this channel, to like, comment, subscribe, for more content like this. Maybe better. The world of YouTube is all too new to me. I've been watching YouTube since I was in elementary school, and yet I still know basically nothing about it. I've heard anything from their monetization is iffy to hardly getting monetized at all. On the other hand, I've heard that it's a really good place to share your ideas. The criteria seems pretty easy to get monetized. For those of you who don't know, to be monetized means to make money. Say, to monetize art means to make money off of it. And art is generally a side hobby. It probably won't be my professional career, but Most likely will be. So let's see. The body, you should have a strong core of some sort. Maybe you should have some thrusters in the back. Normally there's a light bulb or something along those lines at the head. And one of the big problems with robotics is that you have to have you have to have some knowledge of either anatomy or, maybe you don't, but as far as knowledge of robots in general, if you want it to be functional, say if you could really see your robot functioning in real life, that'll take some time to think about. Because I started out, as you could see, I started out with a sort of box-shaped head, which isn't the best for redirecting debris that may be falling during excavation. Let's start with that. Keep in mind this is a rough sketch. I'll refine it later, but until then, just kind of relax. And honestly, I find it very tough for me to relax. The problem is that there's so many artists out there, and it seems like a big world. I suppose the journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first. I'll probably need to zoom out here. Let's see. Trying to find how to widen the canvas. Canvas filter. I still don't know half the shortcuts here. You'll have to bear with me if you don't mind. Edit, change canvas size. There we go. There we go. That's 100%. Fit the navigator. There we go. Okay, so let's go to the marquee tool. I accidentally switched brushes there. I forget which pencil I was on. There's such thing as a brush history, but I am very disorganized. I guess that's generally how it goes. Sketchy, there we go. One of the things I like most about Clip Studio is that the brushes themselves don't remember the previous size, so whenever you switch to a different brush, either accidentally or on purpose, it doesn't remember that size, and so it stays the size that you had selected at last. Say if I'm on 10 and I switch to Sketchy 4, because I lowered this size to 10, and if I switch to 4, the Sketchy 4 brush, then it would stay at 10 as opposed to reverting back to what it originally was, which was I suppose is one of the things that separates amateurs from professionals. Me being an amateur. Let's add some indication lights to show whether or not it's working properly. Excuse me a moment. Nothing better than digital art with a cold beverage. Unsponsored, of course. And for those of you who've been around the block for a while and maybe are creators yourself, then what were some of your influencers? Who inspired you to go on YouTube? A lot of my inspiration came from channels like Draw with Jazza. Back in elementary school, I was inspired by Tobuscus and wanted to make my own YouTube channel, but I never realized just how complicated it was. Other influences include Scott Does Minecraft, Minilad, Big Jiggly Panda, and Vanos, and the whole crew. Terrorizer, Moo. You've probably seen them before. And if not, go check them out, they're amazing. There we go. That seems pretty good for now. And this is probably going to be uncut. I really do not know how to edit at all. Nor can I afford an editor. But hey, I'll be a content creator nonetheless. Also, I think it feels more authentic and more natural than a bunch of junk cuts. But that's just me. Oh yeah, that reminds me of some of my other influencers. Someone who's relatively... Someone who's let's just say he likes jump cuts a lot. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I never mentioned what technology I was using. The technology I'm currently using is an HP laptop. I really don't know which because it was my sister's old one. But it works really well. It works really well. 1,000 gigabytes of storage or so. Maybe a little more. Let's add some of those alien rings at the top. All right. So that seems pretty good there. Thruster 1. thruster 2, thruster 3. Actually, you know what, let's make these treads. Let's give them some treads. You know, when I think of robots, the first thing that comes to mind is a favorite character of mine, or a favorite kid's character of mine, WALL-E. If you haven't heard of it, go see it. It's a Disney movie. One of their better ones, I'd say. While I have good technology, however, which includes the Cintiq 22 HD tablet, or tablet monitor, which, by the way, you might end up saying, you know, you can't afford an editor, but you can afford this thing? It's like, yeah, well, first things first, that came out of my bank account. Second of all, this was not purchased from the official Wacom site. Yeah, oh yeah, it's a Wacom Cintiq 22 HD. Forgot to say the company. But I had gotten this actually off of a site called Nextdoor, which is a neighborhood site. Someone was willing to sell it for $500, and we negotiated it down to $425 because it was missing a cable, and she was just open to bargaining in general. Essentially, what she was saying was, "This thing is too big for my apartment. Please take it off my hands." And of course, we took it. I'm wondering, should there be a coil back there? Because I think there should be a coil. So I wonder, what kind of visor should he have? A visor generally, you know, should it be one-eyed, should it be two-eyed, three-eyed, eight-eyed? Maybe you should have a few specks up here. With art, there's an infinite amount of possibilities, and that's what I love most about it. So that you can draw what you love, and others might share your passion. This is what I think of when I think of chunking. So this is the first part of the creative process, the outline sketch. The second part is refining it. Yeah, there are two options here for raster layer and vector layer. Raster layers tend to are on what is called bitmap, or whenever you zoom in, if I can find the zoom tool. Oh, that's bitmap right there. You can see the pixels. Whereas vector layers are generally layers that don't have that. In another software, for example, called Mischief. Mischief itself is discontinued, and so you're not going to be able to find it from the official site I wouldn't recommend going to third-party sites unless you absolutely know what you're doing. Also, it's piracy, and that ain't good. So I'm thinking, what should I use for the outline here? Or should I just make it a painting? You know what? I have more experience with illustration and pencil drawing, so I guess I'm just going to go with pencil drawing. Thus begins the rigorous process of art, I can't speak. Here we go. Let's make his antenna kind of light bulbish. That's a bit too dense. A lot of it is undo and redo work. You know, at the end of the day, as far as amateur versus professional, it doesn't matter. An artist is an artist through and through. So long as you take interest in your work and you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I forget what exactly he said, but a famous painter, Bob Ross. Oh yeah, he had said, "You do your best work if you do what makes you happy." And it always stuck with me. Bob Ross, if you don't know, was, as I said before, a famous painter. You didn't think he'd be that way, though. He was originally an Air Force military veteran. He was a drill sergeant, and yet he has the most soothing voice. You would never know he would have been a drill sergeant. He was the kind of guy who would whip you into shape. He would be the guy who cursed at you, the guy who yelled at you, the guy who might put his boot on you as you did push-ups. And he, quote, never wanted to yell again, and so that's why he went to art. I need to make this face a little more functional. You know what, since he's mining for gems, since he's trying to get gemstones, or carrying boulders, so others can go in and get gemstones, let's make his visor look a little bit like a gemstone. Generally, my sessions will be about an hour long. And so, I may not finish this drawing today. But hey, when it comes to art, I'll definitely say, take your time, it works. Better to have something slow and beautiful than something rushed and, well, not so beautiful. to remember to put screws on this guy. You actually need something to hold them together. Who would have thunk? I'm a friend of a fellow content creator named Droidbones. You may have seen his channel. He does a lot more gaming heavy stuff, while I'm more of the art stuff. And that makes me think, that's going to be pretty fun doing thumbnails. Or, you know, the pictures that you see on the video before you click on it. Yep, that's how it lines up. Just got to make sure everything lines up correctly. Yep, that looks pretty good to me. I do love drawing. Seems that I never have much time to do it. And yet I have all the time in the world. Because one of the problems with being both an artist and a gamer is that art takes time. Games are pretty easy to do. This is more of a one and done deal. So to juggle art with gaming is going to be tough. It may end up not working out. Also, I suppose another downside to editing is that it gives me less time to create the content. The content itself. I really don't know what this tube's function is. I suppose not everything is about functionality. I think of cars nowadays. Half the stuff that is added is because people are too lazy to do it themselves. Like automatic parking. Now, you know, again, there's a time and place for everything. There may not always be, you know, a reason for doing things. There may not always be a good reason for doing things, that is. But it's the world we live in, and at the end of the day, it makes the world better. Definitely have to have some kind of fluid. There we go, that's looking better. Oh, I need to add the wire. the really fascinating things about robots in general is that it seems like they are closer and closer to matching humans. Seems more and more workers are leaving their jobs to robots. You know, one of the things is the automotive industry. You may end up hearing my family in the background. So I apologize in advance if that actually picks up. My feeling is it won't, though. That is not to say that they are not very loud, because they are very loud. Let's see. Let's put it back. We'll add some of those gems here in a moment. Just don't know where to add them. Needless to say, at the end of the day, drawing is a very fun thing to do. I see. Maybe we could add some dual laser pointers. Perhaps this component right here could contain some sort of reactor module that helps to power this robot. Maybe give it a boost when necessary. And another thing that's interesting about robots to me is I play Subnautica, which is a deep-sea alien planet survival game. It did really well. They'd come out with a second called Subnautica Below Zero, but anyway, the prawn suit is the robot that they had in there. It's not although it was more, again, it was a suit, so it required a human to operate. And the upgrade modules and the design and the capability that it had are really astonishing. Because it's similar to what a lot of what we have today. Now, we may not have intelligent, completely artificially intelligent robots that tend to make decisions on their own. We're getting there, for better or worse, as you may see in many games or movies. In the absence of robots, I generally do a fantasy art. Anything from a sword and sorcery to creatures you never thought existed. Which, because I don't. Oh boy. So how should these be connected? These right here. The visor should have some sort of screw system. Let's get out to 2.5 size. Whew. This will also be a very fun experience for me because I am generally not a colorer. I generally don't use color in my drawings, but this may be a first. I have other drawings in my portfolio, of course, but never actually committed myself to finishing them. That's a big problem. Or those that I have finished, just they don't have color in them. But anyway, leave down in the comments below if you have any suggestions for me on what to do next. Or just something you'd like to see in the future. What should he have up here? Because I feel like there should be some space used. If my drawings look really bad, you know what? I don't use the line tools usually, or the gradient tools, which I really should, but don't really know how to apply them, so I find the old-fashioned way the best. That's one of the reasons I got a display tablet, was because it was more like natural drawing. Add a sun icon there, because maybe these will be solar panels. I'll make these ion solar panels. They'll capture sunlight at an extremely efficient rate. %, sunlight. That looks pretty good on its own, actually. Pleasantly surprised. I sometimes forget just how fun drawing is in and of itself. And honestly, I think it's kind of hard to draw alone. It's easier to draw with people around. I suppose that's one of the things that YouTube offers, is that you have an audience and you have someone to talk to, even though they may not be there at the moment. I will eventually stream on Twitch, once I find out that as well. It's generally, I've heard, as far as monetization goes, just for YouTube alone, is a long haul. Yeah, it's really tough to start out, but perhaps one day. Because a lot of YouTubers that get really big don't get big. You know, they don't think they'll get that big, but before they know it, they've reached 10 subscribers. And the next thing they know, they've reached 50, and then they've reached 100, then they've reached 1,000, then they've reached 5,000, then they reach 10,000. It just goes on from there. Believe it or not, a really popular gaming channel on YouTube, Vanos Gaming. Now, believe it or not, he was a small channel at one point. We all were. PewDiePie was, and look, he has 102 million subscribers. I mean, just holy cow. It is just nuts, the amount of subscribers that people have. And it is nuts how many people are inspired to get the same. Straight lines are a pain, but hey, do what you gotta do to get to them. when I'm drawing epic beasts and fantasy monsters, and knights, wizards, mages, witches, and the like. I generally draw my inspiration from games such as Dauntless or Monster Hunter. I only just got into the Monster Hunter series with Monster Hunter World, and it's a lot. That's all I can say. It's a lot to take in. Although generally a lot of the films and movies that I like generally revolve around creatures of some sort. Example, How to Train Your Dragon. It's probably one of my favorite 3D animated movie series of all time. So we'll have a thick insulation wire here. We'll make this one size 1. Okay, that's too small. 2. I think I'll just stick to my original plan for the light bulb. Needless to say, this has been a very fun experience so far. I'm really excited when I get to any subscribers at all, but I wonder, what will this journey be like? Where will it take me? Where will I stop? If I will stop at all? So many questions, not enough answers, but so much time to answer them. Well, our time grows short. About 8 minutes left for this recording session here. Maybe I might not. I might end up falling short of the 30 drawings, but I suppose doing one drawing a day is very tough, especially if it's illustrations and not just drawings. I'll get better as time goes on. That's how it works with anything. Practice makes perfect. Old saying, but it holds true every time. And oddly enough, people who influenced me to get to YouTube didn't play Fortnite most of the time. There might have been one or two times here and there, but I never really got into Fortnite. I really wanted it at the beginning, but found that it wasn't worth it. Too many updates, it would have eaten up a lot of my time. It was just costly in general. It's free to play, of course, but then there's the Battle Pass, there's you being branded as a default by other players. And there's also, sometimes it tends to get very toxic generally. I'm more of a casual gamer. I suppose we'll go back for the screws later on. Let's take a look at what we have so far. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Could solidify a few things. We need to indicate that there's something flowing through here. So what should be flowing through here? I remember the old YouTube days. Minecraft, try not to laugh videos. Hardly as many political things as there are today. But hey, we're not here for politics, we're here for robots. And who knows, my outlook of YouTube may end up changing, you know? Of course, anything new is scary. Trying a new food, buying a new house, moving to a new house, getting a new dog. Getting another dog to live with an old one. Life is full of new things, full of choices, and full of possibilities. What matters is that you don't chicken out more than half the time. Now, of course, there are some things that should never be, some new things that should never be tapped into, but I digress. Let's save this real quick. 2. We'll just just call this MOR Day 1. Excavation. Well, guys, I gotta say, this has been very fun. Very fun for this episode. Well, anyway, I gotta end the video here, so I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you want me to do anything in the future. Who knows, I may end up selecting a random comment for a portrait. Anyways, once again, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.